For the Attorney General, the pressure was unbearable. In the White House, allies began to distance themselves, fearing the stink of scandal, while enemies sharpened knives, preparing to use the case to tear him apart. And yet, behind closed doors, he made a choice he never thought he would, to secretly investigate his son's case, not for the cameras, not for the public, but because something deep inside told him the boy might be right, that the system he had dedicated his life to had been twisted not just against strangers but against his own blood. He reached out to an old contact, a woman he once loved before politics claimed his life, a former investigative journalist who knew how to dig where others wouldn't dare, and whispered to her the words that shocked her almost as much as they shamed him: "Help me prove my son is innocent." But the deeper they dug, the more dangerous it became, because the fingerprints of corruption weren't just on the local police or the prosecution. They led into boardrooms, campaign offices, and even back into the Justice Department itself, suggesting that the boy hadn't just stumbled into a frame-up, he had tripped over a conspiracy designed to protect billion-dollar deals that would crumble if the truth came out. And as night fell in the prison, the teenager lay on his thin mattress staring at the ceiling, hearing the distant clang of gates and the echo of shouts in the dark, but he wasn't afraid, he was focused, because tomorrow he would send his first message out, smuggled through a guard already on his side, and that message contained only one line, a line that would ignite the fuse on everything to come: "The evidence is where you least expect it. Tell my father to look inside his own office." Whispers on the street hinted at bigger players pulling strings. The court didn't care, the jury didn't care, because the prosecution painted him as the perfect villain, the perfect example, the one they could throw away forever while the cameras rolled. But in the shadows, there were truths that hadn't yet surfaced. The murdered developer had deals with politicians, including the Attorney General himself, and the boy had stumbled on things he wasn't supposed to see, things that could ruin powerful men if they came out, and the only way to bury it was to bury him. That was the story the cameras didn't show, the story the defense attorney was too afraid to speak, and now, sentenced to life, the boy had forced it all into the light with one single sentence connecting himself to the most powerful legal figure in America. And as the courtroom chaos boiled, as the teen was dragged through metal doors toward the holding cells, his mind wasn't on despair, it wasn't even on freedom, it was on strategy, because he knew the game wasn't over, it was just beginning, and while the public was still reeling, while headlines screamed in shock, his father, the man who had spent years denying him, was already receiving calls in Washington. Life. The word crashed across the courtroom like a thunderclap, rattling through the walls and sinking into every chest